By George, I think it's fixed.
This is our 1984 Land Rover 90. In 1983, they came out with the Land Rover 110. Now, previously, they were called the Series 3. This particular model is a Land Rover 90. The Land Rover 90 came out in 1984. Now, previously, the Series 3 had a 2.25 liter diesel motor, a little four-cylinder. When they came out with the 110s and the 90s, they also developed a 2.5 liter diesel motor and a 2.5 liter gas motor. Now, later on, these motors would be retired and we would have the 200 TDI. Actually, before the 200 TDI, they took the 2.5 and put a turbo on it. And then in around 89, 90, about the same time that the Discovery was developed, they came out with the 200 TDI. And then later on, somewhere around, I believe it was 94-ish, somewhere in there, they came out with the 300 TDI, which was supposed to be this great new motor, but it ends up, it had basically the same performance that the 200 TDI had. But what they had done was made it a little bigger and moved the turbo around so that they could fit that motor across all of their models. They could get it in the 90s and the 110s. They could put it in the Discoveries. They could put it in the Range Rovers, and it would just drop right in without any modification. Makes a lot of sense from a manufacturer standpoint. Now, in 1990, 89-ish, somewhere in there, with the development of the Discovery was given the name Land Rover Discovery. So, the Land Rover 90 and the Land Rover 110 got the name Defender. And from 1990 on, they were known as Land Rover Defenders. Now, one of the things that I keep mentioning is the number at the end of the name. The number actually represents the wheelbase. This is a Defender 90. Actually, it's not. This is a Land Rover 90, and it has a 90-inch wheelbase. If this was a 110, it would have a 110-inch wheelbase. If it was 130, it would have a 130-inch wheelbase. I think the 130s were only military vehicles, though. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look that one up. What we're working on today, though, is this model with the 200 TDI swapped in and the LT77 transmission. The problem that we have is our particular Land Rover 90 has a broken selector housing for the transmission. So that's what we've got to fix today. Why don't you all join me inside the vehicle and we'll start taking this thing apart. So the first thing we got to do is start taking this thing apart, and I think the best way to do that is going to be to unhook these electrical wires first. I think the best way to do that.
We hope you learned something new about Rovers from the last segment. And we know what you're thinking now. Here comes another boring video where you watch some guy take bolts out and then put the same bolts back in. And we do have some how-to stuff in the works. But honestly, this is a pretty straightforward job. 4 bolts hold the transmission shifter housing, and 4 bolts hold the transfer case housing. And then 3 remain for the selector plate. You will have to remove the transfer case linkage, but it's 2 cotter pins and there is no adjustment needed when you put it back together. The worst part was after wrestling with this thing for a while, we came to the conclusion that we either had to cut the seat bulkhead or drop the transmission. We chose to drop the transmission, but you only have to remove the transmission mounts. The motor mounts won't let it drop far enough to hurt anything. A new gasket or some RTV over the transmission inspection area, and just put the new one back where you found the old one. Reinstall the shifters and pat yourself on the back for a job well done. It was that easy for us, and we hope it's that easy for you. Or maybe you have done this before and would like to share your experience or just make fun of us. Either way, we would love to hear from you in the comments.
I believe the TDI motor was either a 25 or a 13% increase in power from the previous. I want to say the 2.5 made like 87 horsepower, and the 200 TDI or the 200 with a turbo on it made somewhere around I want to say it was like somewhere in the 90 to 100 horsepower. I can't remember. Who cares when it's that small, right? And then the 200 TDI, when it came out, it had 107 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque, or British foot-pounds of torque. I got to go look that up. This key ain't doing a damn thing. Okay. He swears this is the key. And somehow... Oh, I got it. I got it. All right, she should fire up. We are in neutral. We've got a foot on the brake. We got the parking brake up. Oh, she runs. She runs. She's got the power. She's got the power to do stuff. All right, so if we do that, that should be reverse. But it ain't moving. So that should be first. She ain't moving. So let's see if we got this out of gear. All right. That should be high range. So let's try reverse again. Oh, she wants to move in reverse. I'm going to put all the wires back together and get the transmission bolted back up, and then I think we're ready to go take this thing for a test drive. You're ready. Oh. Okay, so now we've got everything in place. The transmission's bolted back in. The shifter plate's been fixed. We've checked it to see if it's got power forward and backwards. We're ready to drive this thing around, but it's gotten dark on us, so we'll probably save the test drive for tomorrow. As you can see, it is the next day, and we have the Defender out of the driveway. So I guess there's nothing to do but drive this thing around. Oh, buckle up for safety. Oh, there's something there to buckle too. All right, parking brake is off. We are in high range, and here we go. As you can see, I got a whole bunch of stuff left to put on this here Mammoth Jahamba. But for now, we just want to make sure that the transmission is working like it's supposed to. It's a good time to tell you, if you're enjoying this video or any of our other videos, or you enjoy making fun of us or anything like that, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel.
stay up to date with what we've got going on. Wow, this thing's loud. There's another gear. This episode of Defender Nation was all about firsts. First Defender in the shop, first successful repair, first time having an 84 model with a 200 TDI. And we have lots of work to do on this gym before it's ready for the lot. So comment below, hit the subscribe button, and follow us on Facebook, because we don't want you to miss what happens next on Defender Nation. By George, I think it's fixed.